Hey guys, we're here with another video. Today we're going to be reapplying thermal paste to the IOH heatsink, and it also goes to the VRMs up top. The IOH is what connects the processor to your PCI Express lanes. This one gets really hot. I mean, this motherboard's 8 years old, I think now, so it's definitely about time to replace the thermal paste and see if I can improve the temperatures. I was running OCCT and Furmark to max out the CPU and GPU, and this IOH chip was getting to about at least 70 degrees Celsius under a good load. One reason for that is if you're using an all-in-one water cooler or a water block, you don't have quite as much airflow over the heatsink there as you would if you had a air cooler that was circulating air in that area. So I'm gonna first try to reapply thermal paste, see if that helps. If need be, I can always put a fan in there somewhere. I'm just trying to avoid that. The other things I'm going to do today, I want to try to take out this shroud at the bottom, because I did a test run with SLI 278 GTX 780s, and it was just too hot, too loud. The bottom card was running about 10 degrees Celsius higher than the top card, which I wasn't crazy about. So I guess that's what I'm going to try. I'm going to see how it looks without the shroud in place. I'm also replacing the thermal paste on both cards. I've already done one, and I'm going to do this one as well, just for good measure. They're about 6 years old, so it's probably about time to go ahead and check it out and see, and reapply the thermal paste. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm gonna start disassembling everything and go ahead and get started. It's already loose. It tells me the thermal paste probably isn't so great there. Just give it a little wiggle, try to get it off the ICH, which uses a thermal pad apparently. And yeah, I mean that just does not look like good thermal paste there. So let's to fixing that. It's like this thermal pad's starting to, like, there's a piece of it that gets stuck there, this part's stuck there. Oh, maybe I'll go back and replace that later. VRM cooling is very important if you plan on overclocking. I get a little bit of headroom using a Xeon processor. It's a lower TDP than a comparable i7, so that helps a little bit, but I would like the option to overclock if I ever wanted it. Alright, so and for all this I'm using Arctic MX2 thermal compound. It's just what I had on hand, so that's what we're using. I don't think it'll take very much to, we'll try that. So I'm going to set it on there to a test fit, and then we'll go back, pull it up and see how it looks. And it's going to be kind of hard to get this exactly where it's supposed to go. So I'll kind of follow some of the screw holes I can see. Just like that. And apply a little bit of pressure. And we'll go back up. And that should be fine. It'll spread a little more when we tighten the screws. Yeah, looks like okay. Let's balance it on here. We'll grab that one. Let's get one closer. Right here. Just gonna go through and get them all started and get a little bit of tension, and then I'll tighten them up. And there we have it. That wasn't too bad. So we'll start throwing everything back together and see how it goes. Not sure exactly how this works, but this is a supported triple channel memory configuration. Don't ask me how, but I'm just going by the manual. Okay, I guess we're done here for now. We'll start throwing everything back together. Alright, now to find the screw that I dropped somewhere in this mess. Jesus, all the way down there. So before I go any further, I'm gonna throw it all together and throw the graphics card in and just do a test boot, make sure everything's working a-okay. And then we'll go further, place the thermal paste on the card, and see about hooking up some SLI. So let's see how it goes. Well, I've got the back open. This is the wire management. It's kind of a mess. These wires look good, you know, where they've got kind of got a ribbon style to them, where all the wires are together, but it's pretty difficult to get them routed just right. But it works. So let's see how all this goes. Of course. So something I mentioned in a previous video is that I run a UDA server, or Ultimate Deployment Appliance, and I'm going to use it for I just added a new SSD just as a secondary kind of scratch drive for editing videos and whatnot. And it is it had a Linux partitions on there, so I'm going to go through and format it. Now Windows doesn't like to do that at all. So I'm going to enable booting over LAN and give it the old reboot, and then I'll be able to boot straight into gparted and delete those partitions, and then it'll be a blank drive and Windows can work with that. So alright, so I've got gparted loaded up now. I'll just select my drive here, and you can see it's got a bunch of ext3, ext2, Linux swap partitions. So I'm just going to go through and delete all these. Now that's done, we'll wait for it to shut down, and I'll go through and place a thermal paste on the other graphics card, the 780, and I guess give SLI a try. So let's see how it goes. Alright, well I've got it all together. This is actually the next day. I did end up putting the shroud back in the bottom just because it looks that much better. And after reapplying the thermal paste on the bottom card, the temps aren't out of control, and I'm not really going to be running them just maxed out all the time. I don't, you know, I mean, that'll be kind of rare, but I did want to see how it performed under those circumstances. That's why I was maxing out the CPU and GPU, that kind of thing. The IOH is doing a lot better. Dropped really about 10 degrees Celsius on average, so that was a success. Dropped the temps just enough to be able to put the shroud back in and make everything look nice and neat. So I'm happy with it, and it should last a lot longer. It just makes me feel better to have fresh thermal paste and know that the temps are, you know, I'm doing something to try to keep the temperature down and keep things running smoothly for as long as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Thanks.